I kind of wanted to start this off in a vulnerable kind of way where I just ask you straight up, like, what is it in your life that you fear? Like, what if there's, because I feel like fear stops us from doing things. It stops us from moving forward. It keeps us kind of stagnant, or it keeps us complacent, keeps us in like a bubble. So like, how do you find in your everyday that fear contributes to you not pursuing something or not doing things differently? What's your biggest concern or fear at the moment in your life?
At the moment in my life, my biggest fear is not being able to take that next step in terms of like having my own home, having my own property. I feel like as my generation in general, I feel like it's so hard for our generation to be able to take that next step. And for me, that's such an important goal that I would love to accomplish. And I am fearful that it will be so hard to get there. I know like that wasn't exactly your question. Your question was more of like, what is
however it resonates with you.
Yeah.
So do you think your fear is more based around money and finances and just like not having enough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, yes, I know as a first-time buyer type of, thinking that way, like I can potentially get approved for a home. I mean, I don't know I can.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be so scary to do that, because it's like then you're in that situation and you can be everything can be taken away from you, because it's like if you don't have the finances to pay for something like that, what do you do? Because the bank don't care.
I feel like fear and money, with me, it's such a big thing. Money is such a trigger for me. Not having enough money, needing to make more money, like especially doing what I do. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, where people, or even like my family, or a lot of people, just they see what I do and then they're like, oh, well, they expect you to work more. They expect you to work harder. They expect you to have like clients all day long, booked all day solid. And it's like, what I'm doing, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Like I can't have my day booked. When it comes to working with energy, I need to have it like where if my energy is low, I can't give people the experience that they need or the help that they need, the healing that they need, because my energy is low. So I can do maybe 3-4 people back to back, but that having like, so
I've seen you at the end of the day 4 clients, you're completely drained.
Yeah, I'm drained, and I'm like, I have to go home and relax and replenish and just do what's best for me. And I feel like that's where you have to find that balance, doing what's best for you, and also just being able to, and you also can't worry so much about what other people think, because I had an episode where I felt like I wasn't doing enough, because I want to, who doesn't want to make as much money as possible? But you can't make it about the money. You have to make it about the journey, the experience. Like, life is the journey. And
happiness.
And happiness. Being happy with your life is the whole point. And for a long time, I made money the center of my world, where it was just like, I'm doing everything I can to make sure I am on the road to making X amount of dollars a year so that I can buy a house and, and have like the job with the pension and the benefits and all of those things. But I feel like that's what we're conditioned to do. We're conditioned to put ourselves in a bubble, and, you can go and get a loan and go and buy a house right now and just really put your ass on the line and really like just struggle until you make it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But
and just do it. Exactly. Because there's a fear of being put out on your ass. So like, it's these irrational, I mean, it's not irrational, but it's just, like I said, it's fear that holds you back from just making those steps and taking those risks and just going for it.
Yeah.
Like when I quit my job, that was like that was so scary.
Took a lot not even took a lot, but like
it took a lot.
Yeah.
Well, no,
a lot. It's like in a way it did take a lot in you, but it didn't take you a lot of time to realize, like, in terms of like how long the process was, like from when you knew I don't want this anymore to when you actually committed to saying I'm done? It took you like, some people it takes years and years to actually.
Some people it
quit
never
something.
happens. It
Or
never happens for some people, and that alone was scary. Where I was a secretary working, you know, it was a great job. I loved my job actually, but it just wasn't fulfilling, and I was really tormented with the idea that I know everything that I already have to know. Like, I don't know any more than I need. I got distracted because the mic's not even plugged in. It's just recording with the regular sound.
Well, hopefully the sound is good.
Hold on.
Intermission.
That's so funny.
Sorry, guys.
That's fucking hilarious.
We just went through all this in the beginning. Like, hopefully it hears us. And
I'm sure the sound is fine. What was I saying?
About that, you know, you loved your job, but there was never, it was like once you learned what you knew, that was it. That was it.
Like, I knew that my brain didn't need to work any harder than what I already was doing, or what I knew was I knew my job. I was good at my job. There was nothing more that had to be done. And that's what I was going to be doing forever, for 30 years until I retire. People do that until they retire. And I just couldn't. I felt my brain melting. I needed to be stimulated. And I know a lot of people, okay, so this is where it comes in, where, like, people would tell me, okay, so why didn't you just keep your job as a secretary and do this on the side? But sometimes your blessings don't come in unless you take those steps. Keeping your job and doing this, it's almost like you're telling the universe, I have no faith in that. Right. Like, that's not sufficient. That's not enough. That's not going to cut it. Once you put that energy towards that, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? You have to open it up where it's like, I trust everything that I'm doing right now. I know that I need to quit this job, pursue this. That's my passion. And I'm going to make it. You know, when you know, you know. You just have to, it's like you can have that feeling inside, like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something more. I know I'm meant to be doing something different, which was what kept going over and over in my mind. I know I'm meant to do more, but I knew that wasn't going to come unless I took the risk that I needed to take. And it was hard. It was really hard, especially, like, I wasn't even doing Reiki at that point. I was only doing my readings. I was only doing the tarot.
But you trusted the universe. But I trusted your intuition.
Yeah, I knew something else was coming. I knew something more was going to open. The door was going to open. I just needed to close one first. Yeah. Because
maybe if you would have stayed doing that job, you would have continued to just do tarot and maybe never find.
Exactly. You can't branch out, and maybe eventually down the road, but it wouldn't have happened 100%. Exactly. It wouldn't have happened the way it has happened now. Like the same thing with this studio. Yeah. Like, I would not be here if I didn't end my relationship, move out, you know what I mean? Like, all of that brought me here, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Yeah. You know, it took a crazy thing. It took a big risk to close one door, but it opened up such an amazing one. And the doors just keep opening up. The more I follow my intuition, the more I trust it and stop resisting, that's it. Things just start coming naturally. Naturally, you open those doors. And that's why sometimes, like, I know it's scary, but you have to just take those risks, and it's just the fear that keeps you suppressed.
Yeah, it is scary, and I wish things were easier. And in terms of buying a house, for example, like, it would be nice to just take that risk and jump on it, but it's also scary to think, like, a fear to think you lose everything and then what? But, like, sometimes you have to.
But what are you really losing?
Money.
I mean, it's
all our money.
But it's not as easy as you think it is for them to just be like, we're taking your house away from you. You know what I mean? But I know.
I just also, like, don't want to live uncomfortably. Like, there's so many things, and it's hard because it's like eventually you have to just jump and take the risk, whatever it is. Because there's, like, you know, when you have a fear, you always have to take a risk. that's what it is. Like, it's never going to be an easy transition. You know, it's always going to be a risk. So I know eventually that risk will have to happen. It's just like you said, I know, like, they, you know, it takes a lot for them to say, like, we have, you know, we're going to take this away from you. But it's also, like, living comfortably is important to me. Being happy, like, not having to struggle and, like, be, like, penny pinching, you know? Like, it's, like, sucks. Like, I just wish things were easier, and it's hard. But eventually, I think, you know, I think we're moving in the right direction. And I feel like I put it out in the universe, and, like, I know what I want, and I hope that the universe will somehow reward me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I got my first, like, big chunk of money, and that I saved up for so long, and I really, like, buying a house was definitely something I wanted to do. I mean, when I was, you know, in my last relationship, I wish I could afford to do that right now by myself, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. And I feel like that's scary for me as well. You know, as I mean, I hate to say this, but, like, moving forward with my life was very scary, like, alone. You know, when you're in a couple for so long, you have all these plans moving forward and what you want to do it. And then all of a sudden you're alone and you can do whatever the fuck you want, and there are just almost too many decisions to make, you know, and it's a lot of responsibility because it's like a lot of accountability. You know, like, if things go wrong,
it's on you. From
here on out, it's all me. Yeah. It's all my fault. It's like I have nobody helping me really, like, give me, like, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like,
no guidance, or at least
no,
like,
guidance. Like, everything is on me, and I have to figure out what I want to do. You know, I have this business, and, like, now I feel like people, when you get comfortable, that's when, I mean, when you get comfortable, that's when you're not growing. You stop growing. You remain stagnant. So it's like, I got this studio. I started doing, you know, I started really getting more clients and more business. So now what?
Right.
You know, like, what's the next step? And I know, I mean, I have my goals that I want to do. I know what it is that I want to create. Like, I know what my next step is, but then it's scary to think about, like, what. But that's just me being, see,
I was going to say, like, that's where you have to slow down.
That's where I have to stop. And that's where I have to trust, because so far, trusting the universe has brought me here. Yeah. So I know, like, every time that I feel this way, an idea starts coming and it starts brewing and whatever. Like, I know eventually I'm going to start teaching Reiki here. But it's just scary to think, like, to not know what's next, to not know what's coming. That's a big fear of mine. Yeah. Just not the unknown.
That's
the unknown is scary
for me as well.
Yeah, not knowing what the next step is, not know, like, every time something big has happened in my life, it's always been like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like I have to go this way, but I just don't know what's beyond.
Yeah.
What's beyond that door, what's beyond that step, because it's just, oh my God, it's like almost paralyzing, not knowing and just taking that leap. Sending that email when I quit my job to was like, I'll bleep her name out, but like, like, that was, I could shake right now just thinking about, like, how nerve-wracking that was. That was the first time I had to, like, confront my fear. That was one of my biggest fears, was just,
but it's like, at the end of the day, though, it's like you were more fearful to what, disappoint someone else? Or,
yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like you weren't fearful to, well, no, I shouldn't say you weren't fearful to leave the job, because there came a little bit of fear with losing something that you feel was like a good, secure place. I feel like
I've always struggled with that, what you just said, disappointing other people.
Someone else.
You know, I've stood in jobs to not disappoint someone. I've stood in relationships to not disappoint someone. That's always been a struggle for me, not, like, speaking up, because I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want them to go through it. I don't want to create any kind of issue with somebody else. It's always been like, I could handle it. I could work 35 years in this job. It's fine. I got it. You know, like, yeah. I'm strong enough. I could do it. It'll be fine. You know, like, I'll stay in this relationship. I'm fine. I could do it.
But it's like, make yourself
for unhappy. What? Like, you're not satisfied with that job, or if you're not satisfied with that person or that friendship or anything, you have to walk away from it. But it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
But it's always beneficial. You know when somebody is not benefiting your life or something is not better. You know deep down. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's when it affects you in that way. Our soul is always trying to point us in the direction. It's us that ignores it and doesn't. We have to be brutally honest with ourselves. And I feel like that was an issue that I encountered a lot, just being really honest with myself. Especially once I started reading myself, like once I bought my my tarot cards and I was just drawn to get them, and then one day, you start using them and you start asking questions, and then they start talking. And then they start telling you about your life, and then you're like, oh shit, like what's happening here? What's about to change? What's going on? And then boom, 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 things just start.
And then once it happens, it's confirmation. Like, oh, that's what it meant.
Like even a friendship of mine, it came out right there, right before we left to Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. It came out that was gonna happen, and it came out that there was gonna be an issue with my friendship or whatever. And I was like, I hope this isn't with Al. I hope me and Alex aren't going to get into a fight on fucking vacation. But it wasn't you. It was, and I had that in the back of my mind, and I was, while we were there, and I was like, I hope, like, and it didn't feel, nothing felt wrong. And I was like, maybe something will happen. Well, I'll bleep their names out. I was like, maybe, because that was the first time we were going away as a couple. I was like, maybe, I was like, who knows? Anything can happen.
Even though, actually, I enjoyed so much. I, loved that trip.
It was a great trip. And then that happened with another friend. Our friendship ended. Right after we got back from that trip, a friendship of mine ended. So it was like, the cards started talking to me, basically. Mm-hmm. And it just started opening up doors. Once you start that spiritual journey, and you start asking for things, because you ask to be in alignment, you ask for people that are not meant to be in your life to be taken away, like bring me closer to my highest self, take away my enemies, bring in people that love me, and blah blah blah. And then you start losing friends, you start losing lovers, and then you're like, oh shit.
You realize in the end who actually does love you and who's there for you because they love you, not because they are there, like I had said before, as like an accessory, or just like, like you're just an accessory, you're like a handbag or a fucking coat, You're not more than that. You don't mean you're not valued, because when you value someone, you're not
a priority.
You know that you're valued. They let you know by their actions
for what they want,
of course,
to do. Yeah. I love that saying. I always say it. Let people do what they want to do so you can see what they rather do. And I truly believe in that. And I remember saying that to someone when they're like, but why didn't you just tell me blah, blah, blah? Like, I'm not going to, and I hate to say it this way, but like, I'm not going to beg for someone to hang out with me or like show me attention or like,
if you want to be there, you will be there.
Exactly. Like what? That just isn't, no.
It's like me and you. Like, I don't have to beg you to see you, and you don't have to beg me to see you. It just naturally, like, we're going to hang out. Like, we don't not hang out. You know what I mean? Like, we make time for each other because we want to make time for each other.
Your relationships with people shouldn't be pulling teeth. It shouldn't be like...
It shouldn't be so hard. Like, it's like your significant other, like... You don't have to... If you need to pull teeth to see your man or your woman... Or whatever, not even see them, just make time. Because I know, like, sometimes you can live with someone, you're not with them, To make time for someone, if I'm pulling teeth to do that, and
it shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't. You should want.
Yeah.
There should be wants between the two.
And same in any relationship.
For friends. Same goes for friends. Like
family too.
Family too.
Like, it goes for every relationship that you have. It's you prioritize, and sometimes, like you said, you can live with someone, you can call someone your best friend, and that energy is not reciprocated. And that, I think, is one of the hardest things to be truthful with yourself about, because you get so used to it. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of like, even, whatever, I'll bleep her name out, but like,
Yeah.
You know, it's people just, they stop adding value to your life, and they start creating like more issues.
Right,
for
like
you.
you're just creating
like,
problems for me, and you're making me like, you're just issues.
Like some people, especially with my personality, it's very, I feel like it's easy to take advantage of someone who you always unload on. You know, people unload to me all the time. And that's just always been my energy.
It's really true. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's very
not
natural.
weird. I shouldn't say that's weird, but you know what I mean.
It's just, that's what I'm a channeler. I channel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people have, like, they naturally just unload on me.
Do and I
it's very exhausting. I mean, it's different. You're my best friend.
Yeah.
I'm talking, like, I meet random people and they
start...
tell me their whole life story, and like they unload, and it's just a lot to always be the person, the go-to, which I never mind, and I would never like
shut
be like, you know,
out.
I'm just tired. I'm not in the mood right now. Never. I would never do that. But it would be nice if people ask,
like, hey,
like, do you have the energy or the time to listen? You know, instead, I'm very welcoming. So people just like, they just pour themselves out, and I love that. It's beautiful, but it's, I don't know, like, I never do that. You know, like, I don't...
You don't on someone
but
else.
That's also... those are my own issues where I don't feel comfortable unloading like that. Unless it's with another reader, which is interesting. Because, like, I'll call one of my readers up and I can tell them everything. It's just hard. I guess it's hard. I feel misunderstood. Like, I don't feel like people understand a lot of what I'm trying to say. Because the way I think, and it's very like open-minded, and not a lot of people can meet me at my level where I need them to understand me. I just don't feel understood, so I don't unload. You know, I don't feel like people will be able to receive me the way I would like them to receive me. So it's very interesting, because some people just aren't ready. Like, if I there's this thing on TikTok that it says it's like spiritual TikTok. And they're like, what's one thing you can tell the spiritual community that you could never tell normal people? And there's so many things that I can't tell normal people because it's a spiritual thing, you know? And they're just not going to understand. Some people think that stuff is
weird. They're like, what?
They think it's weird, or they don't believe it.
Yeah.
If
you don't believe it, then there's no point.
Or they just don't understand. Like,
right. Well, believing
that's fine. They're not meant to understand.
I don't think you need to understand to believe, though. Because I don't understand certain things, but I still have lots of faith and believe in things.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess it's not so much about understanding, but believing and having faith, I guess. I don't...
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say, though. Like, I know what you mean by that. But in a way, I'm trying to say that they don't need to understand. You don't have to understand the spiritual world, because you shouldn't understand it. We don't... You know what I mean? Like, who truly understands the spiritual world? You don't. You just believe in.
You just take it as it comes. Because I feel like there are so many people who believe in so many different things.
100%.
You know?
That's another thing I think is great to have. When you have your own beliefs and your own faith, like, it's such a wonderful thing. Like, it's okay to have different beliefs, and
I think that's where a lot of, you know, where the fear comes in. I forgot what I think I was watching something where they were talking about that fear is more prominent in people who don't have a belief system or don't have a certain kind of faith, because
that reminds me of something,
because they're not, it's like with me, there's very little that I fear nowadays, like besides the typical not having money and blah blah blah.
Super like straight to the point and like really like but do you fear death?
No, that's so funny that you said that.
That's like, ugh.
I don't fear
death. Do you fear death?
I don't fear death. And I was just talking about this because I had a chakra activation the other day. And I don't fear death. I don't think about death. I'm, you know, my dad...
You don't ever think of... See, that's... this is so like weird for me to actually say, but I think about death a lot.
You know, it's weird. I think about it, but I don't fear it. It doesn't scare me.
And it's weird.
Sometimes I'm driving and I'm like, I could get hit by a semi right now. You know what I mean?
I think, so let me not even say the things sometimes I think really weird stuff. Like, I'm just like, why?
Like, sometimes I'm walking home. Like, somebody could kill me right now.
Like, why do you think those types of things? Like, I'll be in my car too driving and thinking, like, the weirdest thing. Like,
I'll cross the street and be like, a car, like, I'll imagine a car hitting me. Why? Like, why?
Our brains are pretty damn weird,
but do I fear it? I don't fear death because I've always been told since a little girl, like, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
Oh yeah,
like that's it. When it's your time, it's your time.
I don't know if I fear it. I can't. Is that like a weird? I don't know.
I don't
know if I fear it. Like,
I'm not scared of not being here anymore and dying. I mean, no, I don't. It's just I don't. If anything, I would. Let me be careful. How I phrase this.
I'm more fearful of pain, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But go ahead. What were you gonna phrase? Sorry, I cut you off.
I feel like being in the other side is something that excites me. If anything, I would love. I want to be a spirit guide already.
I'm fearful of pain.
Not already.
And I'm fearful of I'm more fearful of us dying and there being nothing. Like, that's scary to me.
But that's where faith comes in.
I know, and I don't believe that there is nothing. It's just a fear of mine. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to, because does that make sense? Like, I don't believe it, but it's a fear. I don't know if that even makes sense. Because I don't want to believe. I guess there's some sort of small, tiny belief in me, maybe. Because I don't like to believe that. I don't believe that that is the case. But I am fearful because I don't know. It's an unknown thing. I am fearful of that. Like,
you're fearful that if we die,
there's
nothing
just blackness.
happens.
Like, you're done. You're dead. You're done.
See, I don't know. That's never been an option in my mind. Like, something happens.
There's something, right?
Like, there's no way that we die and then there's just darkness, black.
I hope. Like, it's so weird. It's like, I don't think that's the case. I'm just like, there's some small internal fear in me that if that were the case,
what if?
Like, that is a scary thought to think. But I don't believe that because I've had way too many experiences that make me believe that there's got to be something else.
There's something else.
You know, like, there's been too many things that have happened to me growing up as, like, super young to be like, you know, there has to be another world. I
don't understand
dimension.
Oh, let's not even get into how different dimensions, because that's a whole different story. Like, that's a nice topic to get into. We'll save that for another day.
Save that for us, yeah.
Put a pin in that.
But yeah, fear. That's what we're doing. I'm more fearful of there being a nothingness. Like, I don't know if I'm scared of death because I don't know. It's such a weird. I know that doesn't even make sense. But I just don't have I'm more scared, like I said, of hurting, of pain, and of there being nothing.
Are you scared of someone hurting you?
Like, I'll be happy if I had a painless death, and then I become.
Well, of course, who the fuck wants to die?
Celestial creature.
Like, I've thought about.
No, I don't want to be tortured, but even dying in a horrible accident and it hurting, it could hurt.
Yeah, just make it quick.
Yeah.
Make it quick. Boom. Done.
Dead. No, that's really fucked up. But I'm just.
It's the truth.